Welcome to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, where you can hear your favorite performers talk about how they got started, their careers, and everything in between. Make sure to follow me on Instagram and Spotify at Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha, and on my main Broadway account at Broadway_Corner on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy. Hi everyone, welcome back to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. I am so happy you're here, and today we are back with another Here Lies Love episode. I know it's been like so many in a row, but I'm having so much fun with it. And today I'm talking to someone who's been with the show since the beginning, back at the public. It is Carol Angeli. Hi Carol,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. Thank you so much. I'm so
Of
happy
course.
to get to talk to you. I mean, you've been with this show for so long.
So
And just,
long.
you're a swing, so there's all of that. And just you're also
It's
an
a lot.
understudy. Like you do so much in the show. So can't wait to get into all of it with you. And so for a little background, born in Manila, Carol Angeli is an actor, singer, and dancer. She's been in Here Lies Love at the Public and is now currently a swing on Broadway. She has also been in a total of 6 iterations of Miss Saigon, including the latest Broadway revival. Other credits include the Radio City Christmas Spectacular and various national tours and regional productions. She graduated from Penn State, where she earned her BFA, which so much happening in your
BFA. So much.
Yes, so much, so many amazing credits. Miss Saigon,
Thank you.
all of that stuff. You've had such a great career so far, and so I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, I'm older than I look, so I didn't just get the credits in like once. Don't worry.
It's definitely the Asian genes, that keep you young.
It's
Yes,
true.
definitely. And so yeah, can you talk about like your background, where you grew up? I mean, I know you were born in Manila and like where you went to
Yeah.
school and when you discovered theater.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I was born in Makati City in Manila. And I lived there for about the almost 10 years of my life. So really born and bred Filipino and very, very proud to be Filipino. Um, so I grew up there, but then I came to the States with my grandma to meet my mom and dad here in when I was almost 10. And I grew up in New Jersey. So I'm also a Jersey girl Filipino. That's like a dangerous combination, a fun combo. Like Tim, like Timothy Matthew Flores, who you met in your
Mhm.
other
Yes.
um, podcast. But yeah, I grew up in Jersey, and I think there's a certain aspect of being Asian, as you know, and you grow up with your family aspiring you to be something other than an actor. Really. So I was on a trajectory to probably be a nurse. But I really wanted to pursue musical theater. I knew that's what I wanted to do. It was the only thing I wanted to do. Aside, I had like aspirations of being on like an Olympic field hockey team at one point, but most of the time it was just theater, and I didn't even doubt it. There was no doubt in my brain. Like in high school, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to take this in college," and I was like, "I'm going to be in musical theater because I'm going to be on Broadway."
Yeah.
That's all I thought about. And I did go and try to apply for schools to be, like a history major and like all these other things, but I ultimately was like this BFA program, that BFA program. Um, so I ended up going to Penn State for my BFA. I was set to go somewhere else for my BFA, but I went to the campus because my mom asked me to go. I remember her being like, just please, just go for me," because my uncle and my other cousin was going to Penn State, and went to Penn State, and I got there and I was like, "Oh my god, this is it. This is home." And then I met all the people in the musical theater program, and I was obsessed. Like I was obsessed, and I just waited for to hear if I was going to go, and I ended up going. And it was definitely a learning experience. I loved my time there. I learned so much from my professors, but I also learned how to be one of the only BIPOC students in a campus at the time, because it was a different time back then when I went to college a very long time ago. Um, and I feel like I learned a lot from that to, and I carry that with me now
Yeah. I mean,
in
I'm a
Broadway.
I'm a BFA student right now. I'm
Yes.
about to go into my first year at Boston Conservatory, so it's the very
Ah,
beginning beginning of that for me. So yeah, and navigating the world just as an Asian person in musical theater is
yeah,
different. It is very different.
very.
Just in terms of you don't see yourself in the room maybe, or you see one other person like you, and you're just
Yeah,
it's that feeling of like not quite being
yeah,
same as everyone else, and I totally get what you're talking about. Things are trying to change, but there's still a little ways to go, especially with college programs. But
of course.
keep
They
trying.
they have a lot of work to do, but it's definitely come a long way since I was in college, because I was in
Yeah,
college, like I said, probably right when you were born. I was in college. So it was a very different time, but now it is so great to see all these musical theater programs embracing the global majority, because I think it's important that they do that, because that's what that's theater is now. It's changing so much. It's got a long way to go, but the lengths that it has gone are far, it's further than definitely back at that time. So
yeah. You got to celebrate the growth, but also realize that
yes,
there's way more growth to go. So totally.
way more.
Totally agree with everything you said. Yeah, no, that's so cool. I know people right now that are going to Penn State like for their BFAs and things like
Yeah.
that. It's such a
PSUNT.
great program, great people. And yeah, I actually didn't know that about you until I read it on your bio. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
BFA person as well.
Yeah.
Um,
It was hard to, like 4 years of this intense program, but in the end, it really, I learned so much about my voice, myself, who I am as a performer, what my triggers are, at auditions, things like that. I just learned a lot,
yeah.
and I'm very grateful for the time that I had at Penn State.
Yeah, it's definitely good to have like that firm foundation before, you go off and work professionally.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and then, okay, now we gotta talk about Here Lies Love, obviously.
Ah,
Um,
realize love.
and that
I love.
long journey that it seems like you've been on with the show. I mean, you did it 10 years ago. Now you're still doing it but this time on Broadway.
Yep.
I mean, did you ever think that it would be like this ever?
So no, oh my gosh, I actually started with my journey with Here Lies Love 11 years ago. In 2012, when we did the out of town tryout at Williamstown Theater Festival, and I seeing the platforms there for the first time was incredible. I remember walking in and being like, "That is the state. That's so high." I remember that's so high, and I had a riots and bombs that we do in the show. It's a big, like, it's not a fight, um, scene, and I remember turning to Renee Albalario, who was the person I was doing that part with, and we had to like jump off the platforms. And at the time, I think they were like closer to 5 feet than they are now, and I was in such awe of that. And to see it now on Broadway, the way it looks now, it's incredible. It's such like a journey. I
Yeah.
can I can it's because I can see it in my head back at the theater festival to now, and it's just wow. Like I can see my whole entire Here Lies Love journey
Hmm.
just in my mind. And it's crazy, but
Yeah.
it's awesome to have brought it to this stage and to Broadway, and to be part of it. um I've gone through so many emotions, every time we closed Here Lies Lab, when we reopened again at the public, because I was part of both runs. And then, I didn't get to do Seattle because I was doing Miss Saigon on Broadway, which is not a bad thing. But I did miss it. I missed it so much. And every day that I wasn't there, I wished I was part of it. So to come back and be part of it again on Broadway, it's tremendous. It's overwhelming. It's
Yeah.
overwhelming.
Of course, yeah. No, to be with something for so long that really it sticks with you, and for something to be so close to yourself and your culture and who you are as a person, especially, I'm sure that
Yeah.
made it even more special. And oh my gosh, the 5 foot platforms. I've been like, watching YouTube videos and things on the show and like
Oh,
seeing older things, and they're talking about like when they used to be 5 feet tall. I'm like, what? Like
it's crazy. I can't even believe that happened.
yeah.
In my head, like, I used to have to change. I used to have like run, and I feel like that space was even bigger. I didn't have like the mezzanine. That's a different running of its own right now. But
Yeah, yeah.
it was at the time I was like, oh my god, I gotta like get to the other side. How do I do that? It was the first show that I've ever had to do that, where you don't just run like stage right, stage left. You literally have to run around to get to the other side, and then belt out a song. Which is very hard when you can't breathe.
Extremely. Oh my gosh. No, and yeah, that's so glad they're not 5 feet anymore. Because I don't even know
No.
how people would see over them even. Anyway, like I don't know
Oh,
how people would see over them if they were so high.
yeah.
But yeah, oh my gosh, so much technical stuff too. But I mean, for you, how did you get involved? What was like, did you have an audition process
I did.
for the festival?
For Williamstown Theater Festival, I remember getting two auditions on the same day. One for Here Lies Love, which I was like, oh, I've heard about this kind of, but not really. And at the time, I was doing so many shows with non-Filipinos that I was like, I just hearing through the grapevine, but not really knowing what it is. I knew it was going to be at the Public with Alex Timbers. So I was excited to do that, and then to meet like David Byrne. That was very exciting. I didn't know I was going to meet him, but it was so exciting to hear about it. So on this day of my two auditions, I went to the first one. I had an audition for South Pacific, I think, to play Liat, and and then I was really tired by the time I got to Here Lies Love, but they sent me a song, and when she passed by, and I remember singing that after having just learned it, but for some reason it seemed right because I learned it so fast. It was one of those that it's so catchy that when I went in and I sang it, I was like, I'm so vibing with this song and I so get this song. And then we had a monologue, and I had just gotten the materials like the night before or
Mhm.
the day before, not the night, but I only had that afternoon and that night to learn it, but it just came out. So
Yeah.
it already felt right for me to be in the show purely because I was like, oh my God, I'm vibing with it, you know? Um, and then all the nerves went, and then they asked me to stay to dance. And in my early career, after I had played Kim and Miss Saigon, I became like a dancer in ensemble. Usually I'm a dancer understudy. So the dancing part, I was excited, and then Annie B showed us the movement, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so different." But for some reason, again, like my body just loves and accepts like her concepts and her the way she moved and the way she wanted us to move. And I knew like it was right for me, you know. I was like, I really think I can do the show. And I had another callback after that. And at that callback, I was like, I have to do this show. I have to be part of this. And finally, yeah, that night I got the call that I was gonna do the show, and I was so excited. That's kind of where it began for me, and it has not been any different after that. Like for the Public, when I got the call that I was gonna come and swing at the Public for the show, I was so nervous and excited, and just to not just play one role, which I only played one role at Williamstown Theater Festival, but to also get to jump into everyone else's shoes and know the show in a different way, because you know the show from every angle, you know the show from everyone's perspectives, right? And it just made it so much more exciting. And then I got to do it again when we went back to the Public, and now getting to do it again, it's so trippy. And I went on for all my tracks that I covered at the Public, which is Everyone But Imelda, multiple times. And I don't know, like it's so exciting now to see it explode. It's like Here Lies Love was here and it exploded, and now it's this
Yeah.
huge phenomenon, and it's amazing, the trajectory.
Yeah, no, and since you are a swing and you know you've done the Public and now you're doing Broadway, as a swing, like did that prior experience help in a way to just like throw you into your tracks? Because you've been going on a lot,
A lot. Yeah.
and quite often. I was so surprised at how early, but then I was like, you know, at least you knew the show pretty well, even though but you hadn't done it in so long. So like, did that
It
help?
has
Did
I
that
think it helped because I know the concept of the show. I know,
yeah.
like I not only have notes as to what the show is now, but I have extra knowledge from before, from what we were delving into before this run. And it definitely helps. My first show on was a mid-show swing on for Australia,
Oh
and
my
I had not really had rehearsal. I didn't have a put in. We only had gotten to uh the part of the show exactly where I stepped in was where
God,
we stopped like rehearsing.
just
So
missing
I
it.
but somehow like the monologues came, and like her scene at in Please Don't, just it just came out. And I think it was because I knew pieces of it from different productions, and also from what I had seen here, that it just kind of thankfully came together for me. Yeah, so I think definitely the prior experience with the show helped a lot with that. And
Yeah.
also I don't know why, but I don't really get scared when I have to go on mid show. I get nervous, but I'm not really scared because it's like it's something you have to do. Like we're doing it. We have to.
Yeah,
So,
you don't have a choice anymore, but yeah, you
not a
just
choice.
yeah, that's kind of the the swing brain people always talk about too, is like you just kind of
Yeah.
accept it's not maybe not gonna be the show that, you're most prepared for, but it'll
Yeah.
be a show and you'll, be
And I
great.
have to say
You're
your
going,
first time off for a track is never perfect, but it's still fun.
yeah.
And I've gone on for almost all my tracks. I'm going on for my penultimate track tonight, and then I'll have one track left that I have not gone on for, but everything else I've done. So
And that's insane so early in the run too. You guys have been you had, like a month of previews, then you've been open for I think almost a month now too and
yeah,
almost going on for everything. Like that is spectacular, first of all.
crazy.
Yours amazing and it's just
Thank you.
so crazy to think about.
Oh
You're
my God, it really
so
is.
like
But so
tracks
exciting.
how many tracks is it then collectively like that you do?
I cover 7 tracks. I cover 7 tracks. The ensemble, female presenting ensemble, and Australia, and Kino's mother as well. So Kino's mother is the last track I've not gone on for yet.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah, but I cover all those tracks, and I love them all. There's something different and fun about each track that they get to do a specialty here, or but it's the backstage traffic that makes any track a little bit more challenging sometimes. So
I know, definitely. The everything with Backstage I Hear Lies Love seems just intense and so much going on. But do you
it's
have,
chaos.
I mean, even though you are swinging, you're always doing different, different vantage points of the show. Like, do you have a favorite moment just in like all of them that you always just love
Oh
to
my gosh.
do?
I mean, it in my heart, like Flowers is always an incredible, like the last, we call it the gospel section, where it really, becomes bigger.
Mhm.
Um, that moment in Flowers is always so powerful for me as a Filipino person who is an Aquino supporter, who, the people power. That's just a powerful time for me, and watching the audience do the Laban sign back to us, which means to fight.
Yeah.
um, that's always powerful. But my favorite moment to be part of is definitely Please Don't, because I just love to dance that part. It's such a release to do that part. A controlled release is what I call it every time I do it, and that's really my favorite uh,
Mhm.
thing to do. And
Yeah.
the Fabulous One. There's so many, but Fabulous One and Please Don't, probably the two that I really love to
Mhm.
explore every night that I'm on.
Yeah, I know. Was seeing Fabulous One the first time. I was like, oh my God,
So
just
good.
a wave of like emotion, and you're just so blown away by everything. And at the end, everyone chanting together, rise up, and then in Just
Yeah.
Ask the Flowers too. Like, I think I looked it up after the first time I saw the show with the Laban sign. And I saw what it did mean, and I was like, this is amazing. And so, that second time I came back and I like proudly put my hand up in the air with the sign, knowing
Oh,
what it meant instead of just
yeah.
like just knowing that knowledge made so much of a difference too. That maybe not everyone knew about when they were there, or maybe you put your hand up and you didn't quite know what it was, but hopefully afterward
Yeah,
go home and do some research on it. And yeah, please don't. I love the choreography in that one so much.
me too. It's my
It's just
favorite
so
thing.
it's like so intense and like so just so much going on at the same time, and
Yeah,
those blue dresses are so cool.
I love those
You
dresses.
have do you have a favorite costume? Because you have a lot now.
I have so many costumes.
Yeah.
I have to say, ladies in blue, the blue dresses, the butterfly sleeves are definitely my favorite costume in the bunch. I yeah, I think that that's like, I mean, my sugar time dress is very cute.
Mhm.
But I have to say that definitely the blue.
Yeah, no, it's
They're
just
so beautifully made. I wish you could see up close how well made they are. They are so well made. And we sat there, each of us, they made them like on our bodies, and out of all the costumes, that's the one that they built for us.
Mhm.
So it's gorgeous. The sleeves are chef's
Yeah.
kiss, perfect.
Yes, no, they really are. I mean, the fact that like I've heard, talked about the creation of them, like they stand alone. They're just like these beautiful
Yep.
sleeves that you don't know how it's doing, like how it's just being, but it's so cool to see all the time now on Broadway. I mean, everyone was wearing it
Yeah.
for opening.
Everybody, it was
It's
awesome.
everywhere in the show. Imelda wears it so much, and that's what she kind of one of her impacts was like wearing those gowns all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just the costumes by Clint Ramos are so great.
Uh, he's so wonderful.
Yeah, and just the spectacle that are just the costumes too in the show. And since I've already spoken to so many people about what it's like to make their Broadway debut, what was it like returning to Broadway because you have done
Man.
Broadway before?
I think returning to Broadway and to the Broadway theater, and that's where I made my debut. Um, it was such a different feeling after the pandemic, because I think during the pandemic, I know for me, I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back to Broadway, just because, like there were not as many shows. There were not enough jobs for how many actors there were. So for me, it was incredibly emotional, um, to be back on Broadway. And also, I had a child in between my Broadway debut and now. So that also added a layer for me. I'm so grateful. It was a party. It definitely felt like another debut, like a re-debut, if that makes any sense. Also, it was a sigh of relief, and I don't know, it's so intense, and to be part of an all Filipino cast on Broadway, that's something I never ever 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 saw in my peripheral in my whole entire career. So there were a lot of layers. It was very emotional. I was very very emotional,
Yeah.
to come back, and so grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like a debut all over again.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
It's I think I was talking to Aaron Alcaraz yesterday, and he's just saying, hopefully it never gets old because it is, a dream. It's
Yeah.
what everyone who's going into either a BFA program or just thinking about
Yeah.
performing, it's what we all dream of. So it's like once you're there, you kind of soak it all in, try to take it in
I
and really,
still cried though. Like when I heard that I was doing it, I still cried, because like you said, like it'll always be my dream. And every time I achieve it, it's that cool every time. It never gets old. He's right. I hope it doesn't.
yeah. No,
And I don't think it will either. I don't think I'm that kind of person.
especially with this fun show, I don't know how it couldn't be something that,
Oh,
so fun. But yeah, and then I wanted to ask you, like, you are a working mom on Broadway. You
I
have a son. You're so proud. I love seeing all the pictures.
am.
He's so cute.
He's the best.
It just that's something that people might not even think about is like what it's like to be a parent or a mom on Broadway. So, what does
Yeah.
it mean to you, and what does it mean to be in Here Lies Love, which they are having like free childcare service? I think
Yeah.
you're doing that with the show
It's
where with more accessibility.
Yes, it's a new program, that they're collaborating with, the parent artist. Oh my gosh, PAAL is the are the initials. the Parent Artist Advocacy League, and also Broadway Babysitters and Open Jar Studios. And they're collaborating on this program so that when caregivers buy a ticket, they have the opportunity to have free childcare during the show. I think they drop their kids off at 2:30, and then the show's at 3:30. The first day that we're doing it, September 23rd, and I think it's incredible because as a parent myself, obviously, you always want to be able to go somewhere knowing your kids are safe. And at this rate, they'll know they're safe, they're having fun. You don't have to worry about the cost, and that takes away so much, just to be able to even like watch the show with that knowledge. You can actually immerse yourself in the show, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's so important. For me personally, as a parent in the industry, it is so difficult, and something that before I became a parent, I didn't think was possible. I'd be like, like, how can I just leave my kid at school while I go do this? And, but it is entirely possible because, first of all, for me, I'm doing this for his future as well, while having fun and living my dream. He gets to see me live my dream, which hopefully he will someday be like, I can live my dreams too if mommy can do it, and we spend time together. You just have to be very good at spending time, turning off phones while you're with your kid. And that's what I try to do so that he knows and understands how loved he is. Even while I'm doing this, he's come to the show before. He watched the show. He also loved Fabulous One. He was like
Oh.
clapping. Yeah, but it's definitely difficult. And, I come home sometimes after he goes to bed, and that's very hard for a parent. And I'm also a solo parent, so that's even like another layer. I don't just have, like somebody except my mom who comes to the house, to the apartment to watch him. But, like she has to leave, and then it's just me and the schedule, coming home at like 11 o'clock or whatever it is, and then waking up early so that he can get ready for school is very difficult. But finding time to sleep and rest and take care of yourself, is something I wish I knew before I even became a parent. It's teaching me now how to really, really take care of myself.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it's difficult, but it's very doable, and I'm very, very proud to say that like it can work. And anyone out there who thinks they can't have a kid, can't have this job, can't be on Broadway at the same time, don't let yourself think that, because you absolutely can. If a solo parent can do it, you can absolutely 100% do it if you really want it.
Yeah, no, it's something that most people probably don't even think about. They're like, oh, performers on Broadway, they're just doing their thing. And you don't think about
Yeah.
the entire life that they have outside of that and what that entails.
Oh
And oh
yeah.
my gosh, like the late nights, but then waking up early, like that is just
Yeah.
surely so taxing for you and just, but
Well,
it's
and then being a swing on top of that is a lot, because I'm always at rehearsal, or if I'm not at rehearsal, I am going over tracks. Like knowing I have to go in for this track tonight, I did not spend the day just like hanging out. I like spent the day going over things and the music, and also getting rest. Like I can't just do that all day, but just taking care of myself so that I can do this tonight. But it's honestly all worth it to have the kids you come home to that you love so much, and the job that you love so much at the same time. It's so worth it.
yeah, no, it's like it's a lot coming at you and it's definitely, not easy, but at the end of the day it's two things that you definitely love so much.
Love the
Um,
most.
and I'm so happy that, you found that balance and that you're speaking out too, for other parents who might be working in the theater because, theater schedules are really tough. And so
So
to
tough. Like
to
tech
really
is so tough.
oh my gosh. No, and just to really like understand what it's like going through that as it just gives, people more empathy or maybe want to help or just do
Yeah.
something like to just think about it instead of just, not.
Well, I would hope that the powers that be realize that we all have lives, even if you're not a parent. So like a more humane schedule would be
Yeah.
nice someday. And things like that, that in consideration for all our lives,
Hmm.
as performers, that we're also people. And
Yeah.
I hope that, and that's happened. Like I had a contract last year, where our schedule for rehearsals were 10 to 5, and that was it. And we did not have rehearsals on the weekends, which
Oh.
was fantastic. And that's such a humane schedule. And I hope that more theaters follow suit to that, because that definitely like helped a lot.
I know. I mean, instead of 12-hour days, like maybe do something else.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
just 10-hour, 12-hour days of just so much going on. But yeah, yeah, again, just so happy for you that you're able to talk about this and that Here Lies Love is doing something about it because I don't
Oh,
really know of other.
they're just the best.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, you're having Fatboy Slim do a DJing set, you're doing
Oh my gosh, so
hair, like
excited.
there's so
I'm
many
gonna
things
freak out.
going on. There's so many things going on, but they're all so great, and it's showing what Broadway can be and what we should be doing. And so yeah, so excited just for that, and I hope I can come back and do more with the show and
Yes,
see it again.
please
See it
do.
again and again, hopefully from all of the points, the viewpoints. Yeah,
I
and
think that's an excellent thing to say, because I feel like people are like, oh, which seat is the best? And like, it is absolutely a different show from every seat. So, if you can do that like $35 rush ticket and just see it from two different places, three different places, it's so worth it. It's just so many different angles and things you notice or don't notice
Mhm.
in certain seats.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the rear mez and then I did the floor. So those are the two I've
Uh,
covered so far, but I'm sure like front mez and the two sides. I mean, I
oh
don't know if I'm
man.
gonna go in the VIP box or not since you can't see as much, but
I mean, I think the glamour of the VIP is in a different place. Like, there's definitely some really cool things about the VIP, and there's also TVs in there.
yeah.
But I would say, like my personal favorite seats are definitely front mez and the floor side 2 or 4. I
Yeah.
think are my favorite seats.
Yeah, it makes it you're just so immersed in it. You feel like you're in the story, and so I love that
Yeah,
so much of just immersive theater is so fun. And
it's so fun.
what you can do with it is so just spectacular. It's a big spectacular show. And do you have a favorite Filipino food right now? Because I know
Oh man,
you guys have been getting a lot of food being delivered to the show.
yes,
And
so
for me,
many. Oh my gosh,
right now, my favorite is like the grilled pork belly. Like that is my favorite right now.
yeah.
With rice and everything.
Oh,
So what is your favorite?
so there's this like traditionally breakfast meat. It's not really like you would eat it anytime, and I eat it anytime I want. But it's called tocino. It's this like sweet cured meat. It's
Mhm.
so good. That's probably like my favorite thing. But obviously, I love adobo, like just a good chicken adobo. It's like a home, it's just part of home. Like, I feel like home when I eat it. I also make a really good adobo, and garlic rice. You have to have garlic rice.
Of
Those are the things I love. Although Angelo Soriano makes an amazing coconut rice. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Everyone keeps talking about how you guys are very well fed on Broadway. Um,
Very well fed.
and just I think that's kind of like the Filipino thing too, is like you're always having food, everyone's always taking care of each other, making sure that
Yeah.
everyone's, fed and healthy. And I mean, for me, I'm not Filipino, but growing up having family friends who are Filipino and them making me food, like for all of that is
Yes.
always just
It's
stuck
just
with
a way to show that we care.
yeah.
Yeah.
It always just sticks with you and you just always think about that and how good it is, first of all. And just
Yeah. So good. Like, too
missing
good.
too good. You're like, I want it all the time now. But yeah, it's such a cultural thing too with especially Asian Americans or Asian people. It's just like we show love with our food. And so Here Lies Love is kind of like they
Yeah.
do that. They just come in, you take care of you for 90 minutes and just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling of like family. Yeah.
And honestly, like, with all the cardio we're doing in the show, we need the food and the sustenance. Might as well be Filipino food because it's just so good.
Yeah, and I'm like, you guys are gonna be totally fine. You're working out like so hard every day, and all of that. But
Oh
yeah,
man.
like What do you hope audiences learn from Here Lies Love? Because there is such a deep message within the show, within the disco. There is so much to be taken if you're not Filipino and if you are Filipino. So, what do you hope audiences learn from it?
Yeah. So I hope that at least that Here Lies Love like sparks conversations about what happened at that time. Because like we said, you know, you can't really tell American history without this history because we are such a vital part of the American history. I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding the show with like, you know, different different audiences and Filipinos, but I hope that they do come to see the show and see that the story that we are trying to tell is not what you think it is. And that they research about it more, talk to their parents and their families. What I love about it is that it is already sparking conversation between Filipinos, Filipino Americans, and Native Filipinos alike. And I hope that they just research
Hmm.
and learn a little bit more about us as a people and the things that happen to us here, and look past the glamour of the disco, because I know that it's easy to get caught up in that, but that's not what it's just about, you know. And also there's a lot to be said about democracy and how in danger it is right now. And I hope that, you know, the message is very clear by the very end of the show, and
Yeah.
also that they have fun watching it. You know, it's fun education too. And but yeah, definitely that they go home and research what it's about.
Yeah. No, I know
So
I did that
I'm not
before.
going to give it away.
You know, it's history. I don't know if you can spoil history, but but yeah, I know
Yeah,
I did
that's true.
I did tons of research before seeing the show just to kind of get a vantage point because I didn't know that's not something we're taught in the US like schools where I don't know if anyone ever talked about any Filipino history or, you know, intertwined with American
Yeah.
history ever. So just
Or
having
if they did, it was like Imelda's shoes.
yeah, and that was about, you know, maybe
So
it for most people, but getting to like look at it from a different
yeah,
viewpoint now and just seeing how, you know, it needs to be talked about and like watching interviews with Imelda and how she talked, you're like, what? It is just how there is stuff out there to see and to know and doing research can only help, you know, give you more empathy and more information so that, you know, nothing like that ever happens again because, you know, it's history. We
yeah,
can't repeat it. We have to know it to not repeat it. And just how important that is too. And
and
especially
it's already repeating. So
yeah, especially yeah with Bong Bong and everything happening in the Philippines and just in America too.
yep,
It's just so much, so many things happening too, and you know that maybe have
so
parallels.
many things.
There's so many parallels, but
Yeah,
just having that story now that I know, it's just, you know, you can't go back. You have to always understand and talking to, again, like our family friends, just asking them why they came to the US, like sparking those conversations where maybe you just knew them as your
yep,
family friend your whole life and you didn't know their whole story. So I think that's really important too.
right.
Realizing that we need to get to know each other
Yeah,
too about our history because it's so important instead of just focusing on the things on the surface. So I'm so thankful that Here Lies
yep,
is doing that for so many people. And what does it mean to you to play
me
your
too.
own ethnicity in a show? I don't know if have you ever played like
Oh man.
a character before? Because I know like Moses had a little bit, but I mean, is this your first time? And what does it feel like to be doing that?
Yeah, this is my first time playing a Filipino person before. Um, and it means so much because I obviously, I mean, as a native Filipino, getting to tell my people's story, you know, things that happen to my people. I mean, granted, in a very grand way. Um, it's so important to feel a part of that culture, and to not have to emulate or not yeah, pretend, because that's what we do, pretend to be another ethnicity. As much research as you can do about other ethnicities, you know, that's ultimately like Filipino is in my blood, right? That's just who I am. And getting to bring my own histories, my own traditions, to the characters that I play, or like the way that I think because I grew up Filipino, is incredible. It's like getting to know myself all over again through this lens, and getting to know my people, my family, and my own history again, because I am having to face it every day and be that every day. When I was first starting out in the business, like I had to, really suppress that part of myself. Except when I played like Kim in Miss Saigon, but Kim wasn't Filipino; she's Vietnamese, and I had to, um, like my Asianness had to be toned down elsewhere, really. And or I felt like I had to do that. And now I don't feel like I have to do that. I can just fully be myself and fully be myself with my own history and who I am, the information that I grew up with. I don't have to like research so much about being Filipino because I just am.
Yeah.
There's a certain freedom that I feel doing that, and also representing Filipino performers who have been here. We've been here. It's just that we haven't had this platform. And to for other Filipinos or to come to see this space or see us, that we belong here is huge,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah, it's so huge and so important that I mean, I know you have been in, Miss Saigon or shows like I think you were in The King and I as well. At points where it's like, yeah,
Oh, so many times.
you're not playing your own ethnicity, and for Asian people, it's hard, but our industry tells us that that's all we can do, but it's really not true. Where, I'm Taiwanese, I don't know of any Taiwanese characters in the theater. I'm like, I have no clue. I don't think there is
Yeah,
any. And so just trying to create more opportunities for people to be themselves. Yeah, we're acting, we're actors and
yeah,
doing we're pretending, but to put yourself into a role that doesn't feel like such a stretch where it's just a perfect fit is always special. So
yeah.
I'm so glad that this is your first time, finally playing a Filipino role on Broadway. I mean, obviously you did hear last,
It's exciting.
but yeah, it's like it's that feeling of just belonging, being with other people that look like you, and just that understanding of who you
Yeah.
are as well. And so what does it feel like to
And
be
just
in?
speaking Tagalog backstage is amazing. Sorry, it's like
Oh no, you're
the
totally
delay,
good.
but I speaking Tagalog backstage is awesome
Yeah, I don't
because
know
I
if
speak
that's ever
fluently, right? So it's just and it's great practice.
I know you gotta keep it up so that it keep practice. But yeah, that in itself too is really cool to just have a different language be spoken on Broadway that where it doesn't normally
Yep.
happen. Yeah, and what is it? How does it feel when you're in the rehearsal room with so many other Filipinos, or you're doing the show and you look out and you see all these Filipino people? Like, what does it mean to you? How proud does it make you? And just what does it feel
Oh
like?
man, it feels like home. It feels like you're with family all the time. That's how it felt at rehearsal. You know, people who have the same culture as you, who have, yeah, like it felt like home. It felt like family. Um, and when I look out into the audience, whenever I'm not on stage, because I am a swing, I get to watch the show when I need to watch, and I look out into the audience, and I love finding Filipinos and watching them through different sections of the show. And then at the end, when people power happens in the show, I love watching them, and it's very emotional for me to see their reactions because of I know how it makes me feel, but also I feel like we're sharing something that a lot of them probably have lived through, and it makes me so proud to be able to do that and to be part of this show that shares that with other Filipinos. And there's so many who come to the show, which is incredible. um I'm so proud when that happens, that we can do that we can share this.
Mhm.
um yeah, and it brings me home. That I keep saying home because that's just how I feel when I'm at work, when I'm watching, when I'm backstage, when I'm at rehearsal. It feels like home.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that's the best feeling you could possibly get, either
it's
being on
awesome.
Broadway or just working. I mean, you never have that feeling unless you experience it.
I really don't, and I really have never felt like home like this before in all my in my career. And I've had a very, very blessed career,
Mhm.
overall. And I feel like I've never felt like this.
Yeah, yeah, and that's so special.
So
And do you
Yeah.
have advice for young Filipino or Asian, performers who are trying to get started in this business? Like, just what is your advice to the young, people coming up in Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest piece of advice I wish I had heard when I was, coming up in the business or going to college, to school, what is to be comfortable being yourself. Just be you. Don't let them tell you who you are. They don't know who you are. You have to show them who you are.
Mhm.
Don't ever, when they say like cliche, like don't dim your light for people, really don't. And be completely yourself, because that's what's going to propel them to cast you. That's what's going to make them see you. Like let them see you.
Mhm.
Just because you think a role is like, oh, only like a white girl's going to get that role, don't worry about it. You might get that role. It doesn't matter. Just be yourself.
Mhm.
And also, like, if you really, truly, truly love this business, love you first, if that makes sense. You still have to love you in order to stay and love this business, because it can really make you feel like you don't know who you are. So just love you, know you, share you.
Mhm. I love that. That is
Thank
perfect. Oh
you.
my gosh. I love that. It definitely needs to be
Yeah.
like, said everywhere, just to people, just to be yourself and not be afraid of
Yeah.
what that might be like because, if you're living your true life,
Yeah.
your true self, then only good things can come from that. And just to kind
And
of,
don't let them tell you you can't do something when
yeah,
you know you can.
yeah. It's like trust yourself too. That's another one.
Yeah.
But what does representation mean to you if you had to just sum it up in a couple sentences or so?
Oh man, representation to me means being able to be seen and being able to share. Being seen, meaning like, for audiences to see us representing this, like this, our culture, everything, our backgrounds and everything. And also just us showing everyone who we are.
Mhm.
That's what representation means to me, if that makes any sense.
Oh yeah, totally. No, it makes perfect sense. And I think that's, amazing. I'm just so happy for you, for the rest of the cast to just be in such a great place of just, feeling comfortable, feeling accepted and loved and a cast on Broadway, which is spectacular. It's
Yeah.
amazing. First time ever with the all Filipino cast.
Oh man, and everyone is so supportive. Like when the covers go on, they're so supportive. When you first go into a track, they're so supportive. That's all you can do. Even our creatives, like that's all you can want in the show, is that support and that love that you feel all together.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Yeah, definitely. So happy for all of you. And how can everyone who's listening help support you as a performer, or just as a person, like whether it be social media or just other projects or things that you're working on? How can we support you?
Just come see Here Lies Love. I think Here Lies Love is, that's where we need it the most. Just come see the show and come say hi backstage, or follow us on social media. My social media is private, but I typically, accept, like, confirm fans of the show. Um and yeah, just come like follow along with our adventure. Follow Here Lies Love. My social media, my Instagram is at Carol Angeli Lee. So CarolAngelili. And Here Lies Love B Way. Follow that too, for all the updates and all the fun stuff, and follow along to the cast. They're so fun. It's so fun to follow their adventures, even for me, and I see them almost every day. And yeah, and just come see the show. Tell your friends. That would be the biggest support for me, and for the cast and the production. Come see us many times. We got to get rush policy. So
I know it is great. I mean, I know you can rush and get the dance floor or even like
yes,
last minute tickets and get the dance floor. My friend did that.
yes,
literally like 30 minutes before. It was incredible.
It's crazy. If you can buy, if you can, obviously, like it would help if you bought a full price ticket. But if you don't have that right now, that's okay because that's what the rush is for. It's awesome.
Yes, I know. I totally did that with my family, and so it helped. It was
Yeah,
so great, and just the fact that, it's so accessible now is amazing, and
it's
more of that, more
incredible.
accessibility on Broadway. That's
Oh,
always.
I used to see like when I was 15, I think I saw Rent like 8 times from like Student Rush.
I know. I mean, I've seen like Hamilton a bunch of times from like lottery or just other things,
Yes,
last minute things. So it's like there are ways to see theater at a good price. So,
so many ways.
yeah,
Please come.
you just have to
Everybody
look.
come.
So go see Here Lies Love, please.
Yeah.
Um, see it from all the different viewpoints. It's so much fun. You're gonna have a
So fun.
blast. You're gonna learn so much. Please do your research though too. Afterwards or
Yes.
before, whatever works for you. Just make sure that Here Lies Love it's not just the show that is telling you everything. Make sure you learn about
Yeah.
everything else otherwise, because
And
90
if
minutes
you think you
can't
know
tell.
what's gonna happen, just come watch and see
Yeah.
if you want.
Yeah, no, and 90 minutes can't cover everything. So just make sure that
Yes.
you're always learning and you're always, trying to understand more about what has happened in the past, just so we don't, again, we don't repeat it in the future. Thank you so much, Carol, for being here.
Thank
I'm so
you.
thankful that we were able to make this work, especially because you're going on today, which is insane.
Thanks for having me.
I hope you have
New
like
track. It's a new track.
an amazing show.
Thank you.
Sending all my love. I wish I could, obviously wish I could be there all the time.
Yes. We'd love to have you all the time. So
No, I'll be in Boston, so I'll be a couple hours away. So,
love it.
hopefully come
I
back
love Boston. So
come back with some Boco people, and expose more people to this beautiful show. So thank you
I
so
love
much to
it.
everyone listening. I hope you have an amazing day, and I'll see you next
Yeah.
time.
Have a great day. See you soon.
You've been listening to Broadway Corner with Ashley Ha. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next time.